Hi guys, welcome to lesson 6.3, solving systems of equations using elimination. Our objective for today is that we can solve systems of two linear equations in two variables by using elimination. So, one way to solve a system of equations is by using the addition and subtraction property of equality. This method is called elimination. Now, if you remember back to chapter 1, the addition and subtraction property of equality said that if we are adding two expressions that are the same, we have a resulting third expression that would be the same. So, for example, if we said A is equal to B, and C equals D, then A plus C is equal to B plus D. All right, so this was back in chapter 1 when we were doing all those equality properties. So now, applying it to systems of equations. Our first step is to identify if the coefficients of one of the variables are additive inverses. In other words, identify if one set of variables has the same number but opposite signs. One is positive and one is negative. And so I see that with my two y values. One is -6, one is +6. You add those two together, it equals 0, and our y term would cancel out. So that is what we are going to do. We are going to add those two equations together straight vertically. So we're going to use this method when we are in standard form. And we just simply add 5x plus 3x is 8x. -6y plus 6y is 0y, so that cancels out. And now we have -32 plus 48 is 16. Now we're just back to having one variable equations. Divide both sides by 8, and x is equal to 2. Now we need to substitute our answer, what we got here, x equals 2, into one of our two equations from the first step. So I don't want to deal with the negative sign, so I'm going to substitute into the second problem. So we have 3 times 2 plus 6y equals 48. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 6y equals 48. Subtract 6 from both sides. 6y equals 42. And divide both sides by 6. Y is equal to 7. So at the top of the next page, we're going to write in our coordinates for our answer. We said they were +2 and +7. So now we're going to check our answer by substituting not into the equation we just used, but into the second equation that we had. Because obviously if we're using the one we just got the 7 from, we already know that that should work for these 2 points. Now we need to double check that they work in the first equation too. So we have 5 times 2 minus 6 times 7 equals -32. 5 times 2 is 10. 6 times 7 is 42. 10 minus 42 is -32. -32 is equal to -32, so that is our correct answer. All right, let's take a look at A, B, C, and D down below here. Letter A. If we compare our x values and our y values, our x's are additive inverses. So you have 3 and -3, they are opposites. So we can just add these two equations together. 3x plus -3x cancels out. 4 plus 2 is 6y. And 16 plus 8 is 24. Divide both sides of our equation by 6. And y is going to be equal to 4. So now we pick one of our two equations to plug that into. I'm going to use the top equation. And we'll write it off to the left here. 3x plus 4 times 4 equals 16. 4 times 4 is 16. We're going to subtract that from both sides. 16, 16, and 3x equals 0. Well, we know if it's equal to 0, divide both sides by 3, x is equal to 0. So our ordered pair is going to be 0, 4. Make sure you're writing your solution as an ordered pair. All right, letter B. We have x plus y equals 12 and x minus y equals 12. We have additive inverses. The y's are opposites. We have a positive and a negative. So add these two equations together. X plus x is 2x. Our y's canceled out. 12 plus 2 is 14. Divide both sides of our equation by 2, and x equals 7. So we use one of our two equations. I'll use the top one because we want to find y. So we'll use the top one since y is already positive. So 7 plus y equals 12. Subtract 7 from both sides. Y is equal to 5. So my ordered pair is 7, 5. All right. Letter C and letter D. Now letter C, we need to write the equation ourselves before we can solve it. So 2 cars and 3 trucks take 130 minutes to wash. 2 cars and 5 trucks takes 190 minutes. How long does it take to wash each type of vehicle? So we have 2 cars times the amount of time it takes to wash a car plus 3 times the amount of time it takes to wash a truck is equal to 130. We have 2 times the amount of time it takes to wash a car plus 5 times the amount of time it takes to wash a truck is equal to 190 minutes. So do I have any additive inverses? Well, if we use subtraction, we do. So we're going to subtract one equation from the other. So 2x minus 2x is going to be 0. They cancel out. 3y minus, so we think of there being a distribution here, 3y minus 5y is negative 2y. And 130 minus 90 is negative 60. Divide both sides by 2. Y equals 30 minutes. So for one truck, it takes 30 minutes. So now we want to know how much to find, or how to find a car. We use one of our equations. So 2x plus 3 times 30 equals 130. Multiply, we have 2x plus 90 equals 130. Subtract 90 from both sides. 2x is equal to 40. Divide both sides by 2. X equals 20. So we have an ordered pair of 20, 30. 20 minutes to wash a car, 30 minutes to wash a truck. Okay? I want you guys to try letter D on your own and then come back for the solution. So letter D, we have additive inverses for our y variable. One is negative, one is positive, so we just add these two equations together. 3x plus 4x is 7x. Negative 2 plus 2 is 0. 0 plus 14 is 14. Divide both sides of our equation by 7. X is equal to 2. Now we plug that back into one of our two equations. So we have 3 times 2 minus 2y equals 0. 3 times 2 is 6, minus 2y equals 0. minus 6, minus 6. Negative 2y equals negative 6. Divide by negative 2. Y equals 3. So your ordered pair for letter D is 2, 3. All right. Moving on to the next page, problems 3 and 4. These are problems where we are going to have to solve a system of equations where we don't have additive inverses, but we're pretty close. So in number 1, so since none of our coefficients are additive inverses, we need to look at which ones would be the easiest to multiply by something in order to eliminate it. So I have a positive 10 and a negative 5. I have a negative 7 and a positive 3. Well, if I think about my multiples, the only common multiples that 7 and 3 have are going to be 21. So we would have to multiply both equations by something. But 10 and negative 5, I can get negative 5 to 10 pretty easily. All I need to do is multiply the bottom equation by 2, and I would have negative 10x. So that is what we're going to do. So you write your parentheses around the entire equation, and we write a 2. So we're going to multiply the entire equation and rewrite the system. Now, our first equation is not changing, so we're going to rewrite that off to the side. 10x minus 7y equals 2. This is how we want you guys writing these problems. Rewrite your first equation. Now the second equation we're going to multiply by 2. 2 times negative 5x is negative 10x. 2 times 3y is plus 6y. And 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. So pay attention. I distributed to each of my 3 terms in this equation. Now we can add our 2 equations together. 10x plus negative 10x is 0. Negative 7 plus 6 is negative y is equal to negative 2 plus negative 6 is negative 4. So our next step is going to be to divide by negative 1, and y is equal to positive 4. So now we're going to substitute that answer into one of our original equations. So we always go back to our originals. So I'm going to pick the 10x one. So I'm going to say 10x minus 7 times 4 equals 2. 7 times 4 is 28, so it's minus 28 equals 2. We're going to add 28 to both sides of our equation. 10x is equal to 30. Divide by 10. X is equal to 3. So my solution is 3, 4. That is the ordered pair that is going to solve this system of equations. All right. Now we need to go on to our next section. We have 3, 4 is our, oh, that went on to another page? That's annoying. Okay. So we'll just rewrite our ordered pair right here, 3, 4. Now, we want to check our answer by substituting it into the equation we did not use before. So we're going to plug that into negative 5 times. Notice I'm going back to my original before we multiplied it by anything. This way we can check to make sure we didn't make any mistakes in our multiplication process. So I went back to the original equation. Negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. 3 times 4 is 12. Negative 15 plus 12 is negative 3, which is equal to negative 3, and our equation checks out. So now let's take a look at letters A and B. Letter A looks like I can multiply my second equation by a positive 2 in order to have a common additive inverse. So we rewrite our equation. 8x minus 3y equals 4. Now we distribute. 2 times negative 4x is negative 8x. 2 times 4y is plus 8y. 2 times 8 is 16. add these two equations together. Negative 8 plus 8 is 0. It cancels out. Negative 3y plus 8y is 5y. And 4 plus 16 is 20. Divide both sides of our equation by 5, and y is equal to 4. So now I'm going to pick one of my two equations to plug in my solution. I'm going to use the first one, 8x minus 3 times 4 equals 4. 8x minus 12 equals 4. We're going to add 12 to both sides of our equation. 8x equals 16. Divide by 8. X equals 2. So my ordered pair is 2, 4. Now, looking at letter B, can't multiply just 4 or 3 by something to get an additive inverse. I have opposite signs on my y, but I have a 3 and a 2, and I can't multiply anything to get one of those. So we can use elimination by multiplying both of our equations by something. So we're going to multiply our first term. Well, if we want to get these positive and negatives to cancel out, our next multiple would be 6. So we're going to have to multiply the first equation by 2 and our second equation by 3. So 2 times 4x is 8x. 2 times 3y is 6y. And 2 times negative 19 is negative 38. 3 times 3 is 9x. 3 times negative 2y is negative 6y. And 3 times negative 10 is negative 30. Add these two equations together. 9x plus 8x is 17x. 6y plus negative 6y is 0. And negative 38 plus negative 30 is negative 68. Divide both sides of our equation by 17, and x equals negative 4. So now we're going to plug that into one of our two equations. So I'm going to just pick the second one. So we're having 3 times negative 4 minus 2y equals negative 10. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12 minus 2y equals negative 10. We're going to add 12 to both sides of our equation. Negative 2y equals 2. Negative, adding 12 there. Divide both sides by negative 2. And y is equal to negative 1. So my ordered pair is negative 4, negative 1. All right, I want you guys to try letters C and D. For letter D, you're going to have to write the two equations first before you can solve them. All right, let's take a look at letter C. This is an equation where we have a positive 12y, a negative 4y, so I can multiply our second equation by 3 in order to get that additive inverse. So we have negative 2x plus 12y equals negative 30. So I'm just rewriting our first equation. Second equation I need to distribute, so 3 times 3 is 9x. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12y. And 3 times 17 is 51. Add our two equations together. We have 7x is equal to negative 30 plus 51 is 21. Divide both sides by 7, and x is equal to 3. So I'm going to use my second equation. 3 times 3 minus 4y equals 17. 3 times 3 is 9. Subtract 9 from both sides of our equation, negative 4y is equal to 8. Divide both sides by negative 4. And y is equal to negative 2. So my ordered pair is 3, negative 2. All right, letter D, you had to write your two equations first before you could solve them. So we have a concession stand sold a total of 138 small and large bags of popcorn. Let's say small bags are X, large bags are Y. If you said they were the opposite, then your answers will just be flipped for X and Y. A small popcorn cost $2.50 and a large cost $4. Total sales were $466.50. So we've got two equations to write. Well, I know a combination of small and large bags were sold, and it equaled 138. So X plus Y equals 138. And I know that small bags of popcorn are $2.50, so 2.50 times X, plus we have $4 times our Y value, however many larges we sold, is equal to 466.50. All right, now we need to figure out something that we can multiply by. Well, both X and Y are positive, so I'm going to have to multiply by a negative number, and instead of dealing with decimals, I'm going to multiply everything by 4. Negative 4. So we'll have negative 4x minus 4y equals negative 552. Now we rewrite our second one. We have 2.5x plus 4y equals 466.50. Add our two equations together. Negative 4 plus 2.5 is negative 1.5x. Negative 4y plus 4y is 0. And that is equal to negative 85.5. Divide both sides of our equation by negative 1.5. And x is going to be equal to 57. And what was 57 again? It was our small bags. Do we answer the question that was asked, though? Our question is asking us how many large bags of popcorn were sold, so we need to plug it in and find out what that number is. So I'm going to use the simple equation. We have 57 plus y equals 138. Subtract 57 from both sides, and y is equal to 81. Large bags of popcorn. That answers the question that was asked. All right, moving on to our last section, which, like the previous two lessons, is going to be finding the number of solutions using elimination. So right now I see I don't have any additive inverses, but I can get them by multiplying one of the equations by negative 1. So we have negative 2x. We're just going to rewrite our first equation, and we're going to multiply negative 1 by our second equation. So negative 1 times negative 2x is a positive 2x. Negative 1 times 5 is minus 5y. And negative 1 times 12 is negative 12. When we add these two equations together, we have negative 2 plus 2 is 0. 5 plus negative 5 is 0. So 0 is equal to 7 plus negative 12 is negative 5. Does 0 equal negative 5? Does not. No solution. Okay. Moving over to letter B. We have the bottom equation. We can get an additive inverse by multiplying by negative 4, and we'll cancel our x values out. So we've got 12x minus 8y equals 20 for our first equation. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12x. Negative 4 times negative 2 is plus 8y. And negative 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. Now, when we add these together, 12 plus negative 12 is 0. Negative 8 plus plus 8 is 0. 20 plus negative 20 is 0. So is 0 equal to 0? Yes, it is. So this has infinitely many solutions. All right. Letters A and B, we're going to do the same thing. A, B, C, and D. We're going to multiply and figure out what we need. So our first equation for A, we're going to multiply by negative 2. So you have negative 10x minus 4y equals negative 24. And we have 10x plus 4y equals 0. So our left side of the equation cancels out. The right side is negative 24. So we have no solution. Letter B. Looks like I just need to multiply my denominator, or not my denominator, my bottom equation by negative 2. So we rewrite our first equation, multiply our second equation by negative 2. So we'll have negative 10x minus 4y equals 8. Now, when we add these together, we find 3x plus negative 10x is negative 7x. 4y and 4y cancel out, and we're equal to 14. So notice, on this one, my variables did not cancel out. This is just like the problems we've been doing before. So this is going to have one solution. So if the question I'm asking you is how many solutions does an equation have, once you get to this point, once you have solved the equations and added them together, you can stop at that point. If I'm asking you what the solutions are, you would need to keep going. But if I just want to know how many solutions there are, you can stop right here. All right. Letter C. I need to multiply my bottom equation by a 3 in order to cancel out this negative 15x. So we rewrite our original, negative 15x plus 9y equals negative 24. 3 times 5 is 15x. 3 times negative 3x is negative 9y, not x. And 3 times 8 is 24. Add those equations together. Negative 15 plus 15 is 0. 9 plus negative 9 is 0. 0 is equal to negative 24 plus 24 is 0. 0 does equal 0. So that is infinitely many solutions. Letter D, I want you guys to try on your own. Tell me how many solutions we're going to get. So we multiply our top equation by 3 and our bottom equation by 4 in order to get our y's to cancel out. So we're looking for our next multiple. 3 times 3x is 9x. 3 times 4y is 12y. 3 times negative 25 is negative 75. 4 times 2x is 8x. 4 times negative 3y is negative 12y. And 4 times 6 is 24. Would help if I put an equal sign there. Add our two equations together. 9x plus 8x is 17x. Our y's are going to cancel out, and we end up with negative 51. All right, looks like this is going to have one solution. All right, so that is the end of our lesson for today and the first half of Chapter 6 as well. Make sure you rate your level of understanding. Again, please be honest with this. It's a way for Mrs. Zirzo and I to check in to see how you're doing. Write down any questions or confusions that you have from this lesson. Make sure we see those when we come around and check them in. And lastly, please write a summary in your own words of what we did in this lesson. Now, it shouldn't just be we solved by elimination. You should maybe explain the process a little bit. Put it into your own words. What did we do in order to solve by elimination? All right, have a great night, and we will see you in class.